The Galactic Council was the culmination of unity forged over 30,000 years, a beacon of hope in an otherwise turbulent universe. At its heart were 5 founding species, each bringing unique attributes to the table that formed the cornerstone of intergalactic peace. These 5 founding races stood as paragons of what could be achieved when cooperation outweighed conquest. Humans, resourceful and ambitious, brought their insatiable curiosity and adaptability. From Earth, they had risen from planetary squabbles to become a race of explorers, their technology advancing rapidly once they joined the galactic stage. Humanity had been the architects of diplomacy, mediators when tensions brewed between others, and builders of some of the most sophisticated defensive infrastructure in the galaxy. The crystal Zarkons, a luminous species of silicon-based life forms, were beings of raw energy encased in crystalline bodies that refracted light in endless colors. Known as the engineers of the stars, they were capable of creating energy sources that powered entire planetary systems. Their technology defied comprehension, and their creations turned the fabric of space-time into a malleable resource. The Rubicons, towering warrior beasts with dense, scaled hides and a physiology designed for combat, were the embodiment of resilience and strategy. Hailing from a high-gravity world known as Karok, they had evolved to thrive under extreme conditions. Despite their fearsome appearance, they were honorable warriors, placing immense value on discipline and loyalty. The Luminarans, graceful and ethereal, were masters of medicine and bioengineering. They were a species that glowed faintly, their translucent bodies containing bioluminescent organs that pulsed with rhythmic light. They could heal wounds that even the most advanced technologies could not touch, their ability to manipulate genetic structures bordering on the miraculous. Despite their pacifist nature, the Luminarans were indispensable in ensuring the survival of civilizations. The Vrans, a cold-blooded, amphibious species, were the tacticians of the Council. Their planet, Vraloth, was a world of sprawling oceans and labyrinthine cities beneath the waves. Their minds were built for strategy. They could calculate probabilities and predict enemy movements with precision that rivaled quantum supercomputers. When war was unavoidable, the Vrans were the minds behind the plans that ensured survival. Together, these 5 species had laid the foundation for what would become the Galactic Council, an alliance that welcomed hundreds of species into its fold over the millennia. The galaxy thrived under their stewardship. Planets were uplifted, resources shared, and disputes resolved without bloodshed. The Council's principles were simple: peace, unity, and the advancement of all sentient life. However, peace had not dulled their edge. The Council understood that threats existed beyond the Milky Way, and they had prepared accordingly. Unknown to most, the entire galaxy was fortified. Fleets of warships, capable of annihilating entire star systems, lay hidden in asteroid belts, behind moons, or cloaked in the dark void of space. Planets and stations were armed with planetary shields and orbital cannons. Portals capable of moving entire fleets in seconds were scattered throughout the galaxy, remnants of ancient Zarkon technology enhanced by millennia of innovation. The Council knew the Kryvax Empire. They had been watching since the reptilian conquerors took their first steps into space in the Andromeda Galaxy. For centuries, the Council monitored their brutal expansion. The Kryvax had consumed 3 galaxies, their war fleets reducing planets to smoldering ruins and their armies enslaving the survivors. The Council knew this day would come, and they had prepared. It began on the edge of the galaxy, near the star system of Kelta 9. A scientific exploration vessel, the Nova Star, drifted through the quiet void. On board were members of a newly spacefaring species called the Thalaxians, a bipedal insectoid race with iridescent carapaces and a hive mind-like communal culture. The Thalaxians had only recently joined the Galactic Council, their curiosity driving them to explore the stars under the mentorship of more advanced species. The Nova Star carried not just Thalaxian scientists, but also representatives from the Council, a human exobiologist, a Rubicon warrior acting as security, and a Luminaran healer. They were on a mission to chart the uninhabited Kelta region when their sensors picked up an anomaly, an approaching fleet. What came next was devastation. The Kryvax Scout Fleet, a small detachment of crescent-shaped warships bristling with plasma cannons, descended upon the Nova Star. The vessel's shields buckled under the relentless assault. The Rubicon warrior fought valiantly, holding off Kryvak's boarding parties with his energy axe, but the odds were overwhelming. As the hull began to collapse, the ship managed to send a distress signal to the nearest Council outpost before being obliterated in a burst of fire. The signal reached the Council's central hub on Unity Prime, a sprawling space station orbiting a binary star system. The Council's response was immediate. They convened an emergency broadcast to the entire galaxy. For the first time in 30,000 years, the Galactic Council revealed the truth. In a somber address, the human counselor, Amara Elenath, stood before trillions via holographic transmission. Her voice was steady, but her eyes burned with resolve.
Citizens of the galaxy, today, we face a threat unlike any other. The Kryvak's Empire, a force of destruction from the Andromeda Galaxy, has made their first move against us. They believe us to be weak, divided, and unprepared. They are wrong.
The broadcast unveiled the hidden military might of the galaxy. Fleets of dreadnoughts emerging from cloaked stations, legions of Rubicon soldiers assembling on fortress worlds, Luminoran medics preparing for the inevitable casualties, and Vran tacticians plotting the first moves of a defensive campaign. The galaxy watched in awe and terror as the Council declared war. Amara paused, her expression softening, though the weight of responsibility remained in her eyes. The camera feed shifted to show her addressing a gathering of representatives from the galaxy's lesser species, newly uplifted civilizations who had joined the Council in recent centuries. Seated among them were insectoid Thalaxians, amphibious Rakier, crystalline Avalites, and many others, their diverse forms illuminated by the pale glow of the Council Chamber's skylights.
To the representatives of the younger civilizations, we owe you an apology. The Kryvak's attack claimed the lives of many, including your brave explorers aboard the Nova Star. We failed to protect them as we promised. We failed to protect you. For this, we bear the deepest regret. We kept the truth of our military strength hidden, thinking it was for the best, to protect peace and preserve hope. But that secrecy has cost us dearly.
She bowed her head deeply, the gesture echoing solemnly across all hollow feeds. Behind her, the other founding members of the Council mirrored her action. The crystalline glow of the Zarkon delegate dimmed in humility. The towering Rubicon representative crossed their massive arms across their chest in a warrior's salute. The luminous form of the Luminoran delegate dimmed their bioluminescent glow in an expression of grief, and the amphibious Vran representative inclined their elongated head in silent acknowledgement of the weight of their collective failure. There was silence, heavy and oppressive, as the assembled representatives of the lesser species absorbed her words. Then, a Thalaxian envoy rose to speak, their iridescent carapace catching the light as they clicked their mandibles, a sign of their species' deep emotion.
Counselor Amara, we hear your apology, but we reject it.
The chamber rippled with murmurs, and even Amara blinked in surprise, momentarily at a loss for words. After a while, the Thalaxian envoy continued again.
You owe us no apology. We are not blind to the realities of the cosmos. You, the great civilizations of this galaxy, have uplifted us, guided us, and given us the tools to stand among the stars. You have shared your knowledge, your technology, your wisdom. That the Kryvaks attacked one of our vessels is not your failure alone, it is an attack on all of us, on everything we stand for as one galaxy united. And if the Kryvaks think we are weak, they will learn otherwise.
A roar of agreement swept through the chamber as other lesser species representatives stood to join the Thalaxian envoy. The amphibious Rakier ambassador spoke next, their voice a deep, resonant croak.
For too long, we have relied on the protection of the Council. But today, we pledge our people, our ships, and our resources to this fight. We will defend the galaxy that welcomed us. This is our war too.
The Kryvaks have sown fear in 3 galaxies before this one. Let them know fear in return. Let them know the strength of the Milky Way. The Avalites stand ready to fight alongside our brothers and sisters.
The crystalline Avalite delegate spoke as her body refracting light into brilliant colors, and in a voice that seemed to echo with harmonized tones. One by one, representatives of the younger civilizations rose, each pledging their support in impassioned speeches. Some spoke of vengeance for the lives lost aboard the Nova Star. Others spoke of duty to the alliance that had given them a future. Still others, with quiet determination, simply promised that they would fight to the last to protect their home. Amara's eyes glistened as she listened, and when the last pledge had been made, she addressed the chamber again.
Your courage humbles us all. The unity you show here today is why this galaxy will endure. Together, we will show the Kryvax Empire that their conquest ends here. We are not weak. We are not divided. We are the Milky Way, and we will not fall.
The chamber erupted in thunderous applause and resonant cheers. Across the galaxy, citizens of every species, young and old, advanced and newly uplifted, watched the broadcast and felt a swell of determination. The Council's revelation, instead of sowing fear or mistrust, had ignited a fire of defiance and unity. The Milky Way was ready to fight, and the Kryvax Empire would never see it coming. The Kryvax sent wave after wave of fleets into the Milky Way. Their ships, dark and organic-looking, were armed with devastating plasma weaponry and shield-draining missiles. Entire star systems became battlegrounds. The Battle of Orin 7 was one of the first major confrontations. A Kryvax armada descended upon the agricultural planet, intending to strip it of resources. Awaiting them was a council fleet led by Admiral Terran Joval, a human renowned for his unconventional tactics. The battle was ferocious. Rubicon boarding parties tore through Kryvax ships, while Zarkan-engineered drones flitted between vessels, planting explosives. A Luminoran hospital ship, Ethereal Grace, operated on the fringes of the battle, saving hundreds of lives despite the chaos on the ground. The Kryvax unleashed their ground troops, hulking reptilian warriors with razor-sharp claws and bioarmor. The Council's response was swift. Rubicon shock troops held the line, their massive energy weapons cutting through the Kryvax hordes. Thalaxian volunteers joined the fray, proving their worth as they used their natural agility to outmaneuver the enemy. Victory came at a cost, but it sent a clear message. The Milky Way was not an easy target. Following their defeat at Orin 7, the Kryvax Empire regrouped and targeted a more critical system, Zarnath Prime, a planet located near the galactic core. Unlike Orin 7, Zarnath Prime was no agricultural world. It was a fortress planet, a keystone of the Milky Way's defense grid. The planet's surface bristled with planetary defense cannons and shield generators, and its orbit was surrounded by layers of mines, automated turrets, and a massive orbital shipyard known as Citadel Aegis, where Council fleets were maintained and replenished. The Kryvax knew that crippling Zarnath Prime would deal a devastating blow to the galaxy's defenses, and they launched an overwhelming force. A fleet of 1,000 warships, spearheaded by their massive dreadnought Krexel Ravager, a Leviathan. Of a ship equipped with planet-cracking weaponry, the Council anticipated the attack. Leading the defense was General Corvin Krennic, a human commander known for his combination of strategic brilliance and unwavering pragmatism. He was a man who understood both the value of mercy and the necessity of ruthlessness in war. Corvin's fleet consisted of 600 ships, including human-designed Titan-class battleships, Vran stealth frigates, and Rubicon heavy cruisers. While outnumbered, the Council fleet was far more coordinated and supported by Zarnath Prime's formidable defenses. As the Kryvax fleet approached, Corvin addressed his forces through the fleet's comms. His voice, calm and commanding, carried a weight that steadied the nerves of every soldier and crew member.
Today, we face the tide of war. The Kryvax believe we are just another galaxy to conquer, another civilization to subjugate. But they are wrong. This is our home. This is where we stand. Show them the strength of the Milky Way. Show them we are not prey. Show them we are the hunters.
With that, the Council fleet surged forward to meet the Kryvax armada. The battle began with a volley of plasma and laser fire that lit up the void. The Kryvax fleet opened with their signature tactic, deploying shield-draining missiles designed to sap the energy from enemy ships. But Corvin had anticipated this. He deployed Vanguard 12, a squadron of human-engineered interceptors equipped with advanced targeting AI and magnetic repulsors. The interceptors tore through the missiles, detonating them before they reached the main fleet on the front lines. Rubicon heavy cruisers absorbed the brunt of the Kryvak's assault, their dense armor shrugging off even the most devastating blows. Meanwhile, Vran's stealth frigates slipped past the chaos, undetected by the Kryvak sensors, and targeted the vulnerable underbellies of enemy warships. Explosions rippled through the Kryvak's ranks as Vran's saboteurs unleashed their payloads. Above the carnage, the Krexel Ravager loomed, its massive plasma cannons firing bursts powerful enough to obliterate entire cruisers. Corvin's flagship, the Erebus, a Titan-class battleship bristling with railguns and heavy plasma turrets, moved to intercept.
Focus fire on that dreadnought.
Corvin barked to his crew. The Erebus, supported by a squadron of Rubicon destroyers, unleashed a relentless barrage on the Krexel Ravager. The dreadnought's shields flickered, struggling to withstand the combined assault. But the Ravager retaliated, its cannons carving through two destroyers, sending them spiraling into fiery deaths. Realizing the stalemate, Corvin made a bold decision.
Deploy the Black Lance.
He ordered. The Black Lance was a secret weapon, a human-engineered stealth ship equipped with a prototype fusion lance, capable of piercing even the most powerful shields. It darted through the chaos, invisible to Kryvak's sensors, and unleashed a concentrated beam of energy that tore through the Krexel Ravager's hull. The dreadnought shuddered as secondary explosions rippled across its structure, and with a final, catastrophic blast, it was consumed in fire. While the space battle raged, the Kryvaks launched a ground invasion, deploying dropships loaded with their monstrous warriors. The bio-armored Kryvak soldiers poured onto Zarnath Prime's surface, targeting key shield generators and defensive installations. The Council forces on the ground consisted of human marines, Rubicon shock troops, and a contingent of Luminaran medics to support the wounded. The humans, clad in Exomark 9 combat suits, were a versatile and deadly force. Equipped with rail rifles and plasma grenades, they fought with a combination of precision and ingenuity. One of the fiercest engagements took place near Shield Nexus Alpha, a critical generator that powered Zarnath Prime's planetary defenses. A Kryvak swarm overran the outer trenches, their claws tearing through fortifications as plasma fire rained down from their dropships. Captain James Vasquez, a seasoned human officer, led the defense.
Hold the line. No one gets through.
He shouted over the comms as his Marines laid down suppressive fire. Despite being outnumbered, the human Marines fought with tenacity, using portable energy shields and drones to even the odds. When the Kryvaks brought in heavier units, massive reptilian war beasts bristling with plasma turrets, the Rubicon shock troops arrived. Towering over the human Marines, the Rubicons charged into the fray, their energy hammers smashing through the Kryvaks' lines. Above the battlefield, Luminaran medics worked tirelessly, using their bioengineering prowess to stabilize the wounded. Their glowing hands stitched flesh, regenerated tissue, and even revived those on the brink of death. Their presence boosted morale, inspiring the defenders to fight harder. The turning point came when Corvin ordered an orbital strike on the Kryvak's landing zone. While the Council usually avoided such measures to minimize collateral damage, the Kryvak's forces were too entrenched. The Erebus fired a precision barrage of plasma projectiles, annihilating the enemy reinforcements without harming the nearby civilian shelters. The Kryvak's ground forces were routed. The surviving invaders attempted to surrender. Human Marines and Rubicon soldiers hesitated, waiting for orders. Captain Vasquez called it in.
General, the Kryvaks are surrendering. What are your orders?
He said, his voice tight with tension. Corvin's response was swift but measured.
We are not like them. Accept their surrender, but strip them of all weapons and technology. Detain them for interrogation and study. Let the galaxy see that we stand for something greater than slaughter.
The Council's forces disarmed the Kryvak survivors, treating their wounded with the help of Luminaran medics. However, no leniency was shown to the commanders of the invasion force. They were interrogated by Vran intelligence agents, their strategies dissected and weaknesses cataloged for future battles. The Battle of Zarnath Prime was a resounding victory for the Council, but it came at a price. Over 12,000 Council soldiers perished, and parts of the planet lay in ruins. Yet, the galaxy now saw the balance the Council maintained. Mercy for those who could be redeemed and ruthless efficiency against those who sought only destruction. As the Council forces regrouped and repaired, Corvin addressed his soldiers one final time.
You fought well today. You showed them our strength. But this is just the beginning. The Krivax will come again, and we will be ready. We do not fight for conquest or glory. We fight for the right to live free. And as long as I draw breath, no invader will take that from us.
The Krivax Empire, after suffering repeated defeats and realizing their standard tactics were failing against the unity and coordination of the Galactic Council, deployed their most fearsome weapon, the Omega Fleet. Composed of over 2,000 warships, including 10 planet-killing dreadnoughts, the Omega Fleet was designed for one purpose: to annihilate entire worlds, leaving nothing but ash and ruin in their wake. Their target was Alaris, a lush and densely populated hub world of the Galactic Council, known as a cultural and economic beacon of unity in the galaxy. The Krivax believed that destroying Alaris would break the spirit of the Milky Way, driving a wedge between its species. To them, Alaris was not just a target. It was a symbol of everything the Council stood for. The Council, however, was prepared. They had foreseen such an attack decades ago, and had fortified Alaris to become one of the most impenetrable planets in the galaxy. When the Omega Fleet emerged from hyperspace, the Krivax were met with a sight that gave even their seasoned warlords pause. Alaris was surrounded by an energy field known as the Star Veil, a planetary shield designed by the Zarkons that drew power directly from the planet's core. The shield not only deflected energy-based attacks, but also absorbed them, storing the energy for countermeasures. Around the planet orbited skyward bastions, massive defensive platforms bristling with long-range plasma cannons and railguns. In addition, 3 fleets of Council warships, over 1,000 vessels, stood ready to defend the planet. For 2 days, the Krivax Omega Fleet unleashed a relentless bombardment on the Star Veil. Their dreadnoughts fired planet-cracking plasma beams, while swarms of smaller ships launched shield-draining missiles in an effort to overwhelm the defenses. Yet, the Star Veil held, its shimmering energy field absorbing the blows and dissipating the raw power of the attack. Admiral Salvak Shakar, the Rubicon commander of the Alaris Defense Fleet, directed the counteroffensive with precision. Under his command, Council warships launched coordinated strikes on the Krivax fleet. Rubicon heavy cruisers formed an unyielding wall, soaking up enemy fire as Vran stealth frigates flanked the Omega Fleet, disabling Krivax carriers with pinpoint attacks on their engines and shield generators. Meanwhile, human Titan-class battleships unleashed devastating volleys of railgun fire, punching through the hulls of Krivax destroyers. The skyward bastions played a crucial role, their plasma cannons targeting and destroying Krivax frigates attempting to bypass the defensive fleet. One bastion, Celestial Wrath, even managed to disable a Krivax dreadnought, leaving it vulnerable to a concentrated strike by the Erebus and its fleet. While the battle raged above Alaris, the Council executed a daring plan to cripple the Krivax fleet from within. A Vran-led strike team, operating under the codename Shadowblade, used a Zarkon portal to infiltrate the Krivax flagship, the Eternal Wrath, the command vessel of the Omega Fleet. The team consisted of 5 operatives, 2 Vran strategists, Rubicon demolitions expert, a human infiltrator named Lieutenant Paul Vale, and a Luminoran medic to ensure survival if things went wrong. Their mission was simple but dangerous: sabotage the ship's core and destabilize its power grid, creating a cascade effect that would cripple the entire fleet. The team emerged from the portal deep within the flagship's lower decks, evading Krivax patrols with precision. Lieutenant Vale's Exomark 9 suit allowed her to hack into Krivax security systems, disabling cameras and opening pathways for the team to proceed undetected. The Rubicon demolitions expert, Kron Voller, carried an experimental Zarkon explosive device powerful enough to destabilize the ship's fusion core. The Krivax crew soon discovered the intrusion, and the corridors erupted into chaos. The infiltrators fought their way to the core, with Kron using his immense strength and energy hammer to smash through Krivax soldiers. Vale's marksmanship picked off attackers with clinical efficiency, while the Luminaran medic kept the team alive, even reviving the Rubicon after he took a direct plasma blast to his shoulder. Finally, the team reached the core chamber. While Kron armed the explosive, the Kryvax sent reinforcements in a desperate bid to stop them. The Vran operatives held the line, their amphibious agility allowing them to outmaneuver the Kryvax soldiers in the tight confines of the chamber. With seconds to spare, Kron activated the device, and the team escaped via the portal just as the core detonated. The explosion ripped through the Eternal Wrath, tearing the flagship apart from within. But the destruction didn't end there. The Kryvax dreadnoughts were networked into the flagship's command systems, and the feedback from the explosion caused catastrophic power failures across the fleet. Shields flickered and died, engines overloaded, and some ships even exploded outright as their power cores destabilized. The Council fleet seized the opportunity. Admiral Shakar ordered an all-out assault, and the Council warships cut through the crippled Kryvax fleet like a scythe. In a matter of hours, what had once been the Omega fleet was reduced to scattered wreckage drifting in the void. In the aftermath of the battle, the Council convened an emergency session to discuss their next move. The Zarkon delegate, Shardlord Valis, argued for restraint.
We have defended Alaris and shown the Kryvax that we are not weak, but to strike at their homeworld could provoke further retaliation, risking more lives. We should fortify our borders and prepare for their next move.
Valis said, his crystalline form refracting light as he spoke. The Rubicon representative, General Theric, disagreed. He growled.
Their homeworld is their heart. If we do not strike now, they will regroup and return with even greater force. We must end this war on our terms.
Amara Elenath, the human counselor, listened carefully before offering her perspective.
We cannot let them continue their conquests, nor can we allow this war to drag on indefinitely. A decisive strike on their homeworld would cripple their empire, but we must ensure our actions target their war machine, not their civilians. We must remain true to who we are.
In the end, the Council voted to launch an assault on the Kryvax homeworld, Dravik Prime, but with strict rules of engagement. The war would end not in vengeance, but in justice. The galaxy would be shown that even in war, the Milky Way upheld its principles. The Council decided to take the fight to the Kryvax. Using Zarkon portals, they transported their forces directly into the Andromeda Galaxy, targeting the Kryvax homeworld of Dravik Prime. The battle was apocalyptic. Council dreadnoughts clashed with Kryvax planetary defenses, while ground forces fought through sprawling cities reduced to rubble. In the end, the Council's unity proved unstoppable. The Rubicons led the charge into the Kryvax capital, while the Luminarans ensured minimal civilian casualties. The Zarkons unleashed a final weapon, a pulse that disrupted the Kryvax war machines, rendering them inert. As the Kryvax leadership fell, the Council declared victory. The war left scars, but it also united the galaxy in a way never seen before. The lesser species, inspired by the Council's leadership, pledged themselves to the alliance with renewed vigor. The Kryvax Empire was no more, their legacy a cautionary tale of the price of unchecked ambition. The Milky Way stood stronger than ever, its unity unshaken, its guardians ever vigilant for the next shadow lurking in the void.